So now, this is number 6 in the Wall series, and this one is titled Mother. Up until now, we've been through kind of his early childhood experiences, and Mother is an early childhood figure too, so it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. Let's just get started and see how it goes.
Mother, do you think they'll drop the bomb? Mother, do you think they'll like this song? Mother, do you think they'll try to break my balls? Mother should have built the wall.
It's interesting that these are all questions which seem to be coming from a little bit of an older childhood, but still a child. Like maybe adolescent, early teenager. He's been through school experiences. He's learning about the world around him, and I mean, this first line, do you think they'll drop the bomb? That's quite an awareness of world events of the time. And it's also interesting because this is obviously coming from a generation which grew up under the shadow of World War II. It's the generation after World War II, so it's an interesting way of opening this whole relationship with Mother that I see coming up here. These are all questions that an adolescent would ask his parents. And in this case, since the father's not there, it all is directed to the mother. Some of them are curious questions. Some of them are rather insecure and fearful questions. And then asking, should I build the wall? That's something that, of course, no child is going to verbally ask. Up until now, it was questions which a child might articulate, or at least might, I don't know of a child who would ask his mother, do you think they'll try to break my balls? But it's going to be questions in his mind, and his conversations with his mother are going to be kind of feeling out what sort of answer does he get back from his mother. And then, should I build the wall? That's even farther off from something that would be articulated in a conversation. It's taking us to a sort of unspoken dynamic which is learned in the home. So that's an interesting way to start off this song. Let's see what comes next. Back up just a little.
Mother should have built the wall. Mother, should I run for president? Mother, should I trust the government? Mother, will they put me in the firing line? Is it just a waste of time?
These questions are getting bigger and deeper, and it's as if this adolescent is developing into a teenager. What they put me in the firing line is like, registering for military service as a young adult. Or is it all just a waste of time? How does a young adult find their purpose and their sense of direction? And it can be quite challenging. So this song seems to me to be tracing the development of this young person from elementary school, middle school, on through teenage and young adulthood. This is such an important question. Is it just a waste of time? And it's so interesting the way he sets all of these big questions and important questions to this simple little kind of chant-like musical line. It's as if he's just creating the most minimal support, because he wants the focus to be on the question itself, without any sort of dramatic application of musical technique or features or influence even. It's just about the questions and what is going on in this young person's mind and being as they're navigating this quite confusing phase of life. I think it's really quite genius. Maybe genius isn't the right word. It's insightful. That's what I would say. It's insightful. It's sensitive. It allows all these things to be reflected on in the way that we find in here, without having to have the music putting ideas in our mind. And I think that's really great. Let's go on and see what comes next.
Is it just a waste of time? Hush now, baby, baby, don't you cry.
I recognize this
Mama's gonna
line.
make all of your nightmares come true.
With a
Mama's
twist.
gonna put all of her fears into you. Mama's gonna keep you right here under her wing. She won't let you fly, but she might let you sing. Mama's gonna keep baby cozy and warm. Ooh, babe. Ooh, babe. Ooh, babe. Of course Mama's gonna help build the wall.
Wow. What just happened? This song just took on a whole extra layer of complexity with what I just listened to. This is the mother's answer. Of course, she's not going to verbally say this. It's so interesting that he takes a lullaby, which is well known. At least I know it. I don't know the origin of it. It might have been composed by someone in the 20th century, or it might be a more traditional folk tune. I really don't know. But it's, hush little baby, don't you cry, Mama's going to sing you a lullaby. And it goes on, all these nice sweet things that Mama, or sometimes it's Daddy's going to sing you a lullaby. You can use it interchangeably. That's what he used here as a setup for this lullaby, which we're all so familiar with. I've got to go look at the history of that lullaby, because now I'm curious and I'm trying to remember. I don't know where its origin was, how well known it was back this many years ago, but I assume that he was not inventing this on the spot. I assume that he was quoting a well-known tune, because that would set us up and give us a sort of expectation. And then he dives into this. Instead of Mama's going to give you a diamond ring and all those many sweet things, Mama's going to make all of your nightmares come true. Wow, and put all of her fears into you. I mean, this is just... It's what happens. Children grow up under their parents' influence, and that's exactly what happens. And then it gets even darker. She won't let you fly, but she might let you sing. That's a pretty controlling, hyper-protective parent. Maybe, I suppose it can be understandable if this mother has lost her husband in the war and she has one child. She's going to be extremely attached and probably traumatized in her own life as well. And it's just another illustration and demonstration of how every generation passes their traumas and their insecurities on to the next in a really tragically efficient manner, before the young person is even able to distinguish what's what and understand what's going on. Let's keep going.
Ooh, babe, of course Mama's gonna help build the wall.
Wow. That's just powerful. I'm going to keep going. I don't want to say anything quite yet.
Babe, of course Mama's gonna help build the wall. Do you think she's good enough? For me? Mother, do you think she's dangerous? Tell me.
Now, this is pretty neat what's happening here. The same line of questioning. Now, this young person is getting into relationships and so on. But I want to talk about a musical feature that I think is delightful. It's the same rhythm, the same sort of chant-like question. Mother, do you think she's good enough? But then he adds this extra little final moment. For me? It's very nice. It keeps this portion of the music from feeling like, all right, we've just settled into this repetitive thing and we're kind of zoning out. He keeps us from zoning out by adding this little melodic fragment. This for me. And he sets it in a way that is so natural to speech. For me? If I were asking, do you think she's good enough for me? I would use the same pitches in my voice. And then, of course, to me. Let's go on and see what else happens. I guess I hear some of the mother's fears now being reflected back to the mother in this question. Keep going.
Will she break my heart?
Hold on. I want you to understand what's happening in the music here. I'm going back, and I knew to go back because of this little set of instructions, which looks like a bunch of mathematical symbols or something like that. It tells me that I need to return to this earlier part of the music here, where we have this same symbol right here. And that symbol is simply called dal segno, the sign. And it's used as a marker to say if a section is going to be repeated, this is the point at which we are going to repeat it. So that's how I knew to go back. And then later on, it's going to ask me to jump to the coda. So you'll see me skip around it a bit again. Okay, here we are. Back at this lullaby of sorts.
Gonna check out all your girlfriends for you. Mama won't let anyone dirty get through. Mama's gonna wait up until you get in. Mama will always find out where you've been. Mama's gonna keep baby healthy and clean.
This is supposed to sound so reassuring and comforting. And yet it's so disturbing. Even the music is this sort of comforting, supportive, warm, easy, gentle sound. And it It's so disturbing at the same time. I want to back up just a little bit. I know we're almost at the end. But I was so absorbed in it that I forgot to jump to the coda, and I wanted to show you how that works. So this right here says to the coda. And so when he sings these words, we don't go on to here. We jump to where it says coda, and you'll see me do that. So let's back up just a little and see if we can do this.
Baby. Ooh, babe, you'll always be baby to me. Mother, did it need to be so high?
Wow. And that last little question here changes it again and shifts the perspective yet again, because now I feel like we're made aware that this isn't happening in real time. This is a sort of reflection, looking back on the things that have added and contributed to the building of this wall. And it was the comfort and the safety, the hyper-protection of the relationship at home, which has now built this wall to the point where it's so high, he's beginning to wonder, did it need to be so high? Is it that important? Is it really so dangerous out there? And it was the home dynamics which helped to set this person up to feel like the world is such a dangerous, risky, threatening place. That's quite a piece of music. And it's not because the music is particularly highly developed. It's very simple. And that's the amazingness of it, because it doesn't interfere. It supports and it adds eloquence and expressiveness to this series of questions and this set of answers which are taking place in the lyrics. Very nicely set. Very nicely set. I enjoyed it. I'm fascinated by it. I am going to look at it some more. And I'll go ahead and say now, I don't expect to find any significantly grand musical features here, because there aren't really. There are some very special little moments which are all it needs and everything it needs. And if you were to put grand musical elements in here, it would destroy the quality of this. It would be too much. It would be out of line with what's being communicated here and how it's being communicated. But I am going to look at this some more, because I think there are some things which are worth paying attention to. And I'm sure I'll have some little gems to talk about some more in the in-depth analysis. But really a fine marriage of music and lyrics. So that was Mother. And now we will go on to what comes next.